To grow your nutrition coaching business, you have to be able to deliver results for your clients. That's why today I'm going to teach you a secret formula for getting better results for your clients with a simple 3-step system. This formula will help you get more paying clients and make more money so you can become an in-demand nutrition coach. Here's what you need to know. 90% of people hire a nutrition coach to get leaner. So understanding the science of fat loss and how to apply it is very important. This is a result you need to be able to deliver. As you probably know, the science is pretty clear around how fat loss works, but getting people to do it is the hard part. So today you'll learn how to set them up for success for the best results. And it's all about starting them off right. Okay, here's the deal. When people come to you to get leaner and they're overweight, they haven't been dieting. Well, maybe they've been dieting, but you just don't eat no food and still gain weight. I know some fitness influencer out there will have you believe that everyone's metabolism is broken and everyone needs a reverse diet. But this really isn't the case. And this confusion stems from people reporting eating very low calories and still having a hard time losing weight. But the laws of thermodynamics don't really work like that. Here's what I've seen through working with thousands of clients. The people that come to a nutrition coach to lose weight, they may feel like they're eating 1,200 calories and they're stuck, but generally they aren't. But this doesn't mean that they haven't ate 1,200 calories for periods of time. They probably have. But those low calories, that didn't get them to the situation that they're in now. And here's what normally happens. This person goes on some sort of crash diet or tracks their calories to a target that's way too low. Now their metabolism doesn't really slow down, especially not in the short term. But what does happen, they end up moving around a lot less, and they're now eating in a way that makes it much more likely that they'll overweight in periods when they're not aware of it. Especially when we're talking about the endless cycle of low calories and you can't eat this and you can't eat that, cycled with periods of overeating very hyper palatable foods. But if they report that they're still only eating 1,200 calories and it's not working, it can make it a little confusing as where to start them. And this just isn't what the science says. This is what I've actually observed in the trenches over the last 10 years, which is why I'm so excited to share it with you. So what do we do about this? We need to get the most accurate reflection of what they're doing now so we can guide them on where to go next. Well, first off, we have to realize that although tracking can be inaccurate, it's far from useless. We just need to use food tracking as a tool and understand its limitation. Plus, there's always going to be exceptions. You know, one day where someone just isn't hungry at all and the next day they go on a huge hike and burn twice as many calories. As a coach, you know when you take a step back and see the big picture, you can see that although no 2 days are the same, most days are pretty similar. And we actually have to get closer to these numbers. The way you're going to get amazing results with clients is learning how to effectively manage energy balance. But here's the important part. If you're going to take anything away from this video, take this away. Estimating how much energy someone burns, energy out, or energy expenditure, and tracking energy intake are not two sides of the same coin. These are two things that should be able to be compared, but they can't in the real world when we apply them. Because on one side, when we're estimating how much energy someone is burning, using calculations or a device, we generally overestimate. And on the other side, energy intake, if we're allowing the human to do all the logging, generally there's going to be much more underestimating. Apples and oranges. And this can make it tough to get a sense of where to start someone's food levels. Let's do a quick refresher on energy balance, or calories in, calories out. Calories in, calories out, a tale as old as time. As nutrition coaches, if we want people to lose weight, we need to be able to manage and apply this relationship in order to produce results. Let's break this down. For some of you, this will be review, but you're going to want to pay attention anyway for when I put it all together in the secret formula at the end of the video. On one side of this balance, we have energy in. This accounts for all the energy you consume through food and drink, especially those sneaky liquid calories. It should be noted that people have a hard time assessing what they eat accurately. At first, most people won't do this well, and that's okay because just like any other skill, it will get better with time. Actually, underreporting of calorie intake is a well-known and studied fact of applied nutrition. It's not that humans are intentionally lying, we're just bad at assessing how much we eat. Check out this figure from James Krager of Weightology. The subjects in this study were weight stable, meaning their weight didn't change through the process, which implies that the calories that they're eating or calories in should line up with the calories that they're burning or calories out. But when they reported what they were eating, there was a big discrepancy between what they said they were eating and their self-reported intake and how much energy they burned. Sometimes up to 1,000 calories per day, which means that before working with us, people aren't accurately managing the thing that's going to have the biggest impact on their results. So that 1,200 calorie diet we were talking about earlier, it's probably a lot more, which makes a lot more sense. We don't gain weight on low calorie diets. So we need to factor this into our formula. But that's just one side of the balance. On the other side, we have all the energy that you burn or energy out, and this is comprised of 4 things. The first one being your basal metabolic rate, or BMR. This is the energy you burn just existing. Things like circulating blood, breathing, thinking, all of those things require energy, and they require a lot of it. Somewhere between 60 to 70% of the total amount of energy you burn. The second contributor is the thermic effect of exercise. This is all the energy you burn during active exercise, things like training, exercise, or if you have an active job. For most, this is around 20 to 30% of their total daily energy expenditure. Number 3, we have the thermic effect of food. This is the amount of energy energy you burn just by digesting and breaking down food. Typically around 10% of the calories you ingest are burned through this process, which also means if you don't eat anything at all, you lose out on this expenditure, giving another strike to low-calorie diets. And finally, we have number 4, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is what you burn doing activities that are subconscious, things like toe tapping and fidgeting, anything that really isn't considered exercise. Need can be highly variable from person to person and is also influenced by our energy availability. When we add all 4 of these things together, we get something called our total daily energy expenditure, or TDEE, which is essentially our calories out. And why does this matter for our clients? To lose fat, you need to be burning more calories than you're taking in over extended periods of time. If you take in less calories, creating a calorie deficit, your body needs to make up the difference by taking energy from your fat stores or your protein stores. And that's how someone loses weight, or specifically loses fat. As you probably realize, managing this relationship is very important for nutrition coaches. For financial planners, this would be budgeting money coming in and money coming out. The key to getting amazing fat loss results is managing this balance. And although I'm sure you're learning lots here, wait till the end when we put this all together. So it's getting clear, to help someone lose fat, we need to get a better sense of how much energy they're currently burning and how much energy they're currently consuming. Here's how this works in the real world for our clients. To set food or calorie levels, which is the job of the nutrition coach, we first need to understand how much they need to maintain their weight. There are 3 main ways in the nutrition world we get a better sense of how much energy someone is burning in order to lose fat. The first way is to measure it, and this is the gold standard, or the best way to measure energy expenditure. You'd use special laboratory equipment like doubly labeled water to measure someone's exact energy expenditure under highly controlled conditions. You got something like this in your bedroom? Probably not. So as you might have guessed, this is really inaccessible. Something you can get your hands on, however, is calculations, which brings us to method number 2, the theoretical way. In the theoretical way, you can estimate someone's energy expenditure through calculations. There are several different calculations out there, but 2 of my favorites are the Harris-Benedict equation and Mifflin-St. Jeor. Some of these calculations are more accurate, others are less accurate, and some that might require really specific pieces of information like lean body mass that you might not have access to. One thing that routinely comes up when I'm training new coaches is that these calculations can provide a good starting point, but they aren't always accurate. And they definitely don't apply to everyone. So if you've ever felt like all these textbook calculations are great, but the people I'm working with, they don't really fit these calculations. You are right, these calculations come with their own errors. Actually, one study assessed nearly 30 research validated types of calculations, and they found that this error can be anywhere between 150 to 400 calories per day. But this could be even more for an individual person. Since there is a huge variation from person to person, we just want to use them as a starting point and compare them to the most important way to measure energy expenditure as a nutrition coach, which is number 3, factual. The factual way entails finding the energy intake that balances someone's weight over time. You get this by getting someone to track their energy intake over an extended period of time and seeing what level of food maintains their body weight. Ideally, you get them to track 5 days, with one of those days being on the weekend. Through this period, if their body weight stays the same, which is within 1 to 2 pounds around that average, they are in weight maintenance, which also means they're in energy maintenance. If they lose weight, which they generally will since they're now being mindful of what they're eating, then you know they're already in a calorie deficit. This is so important because all people burn energy differently, even people with similar body weights and similar activity levels. A recent article I came across on Greg Nuckols' blog studied energy expenditure over someone's life course. This study looked at 6,400 people across the globe, and it found that there were big differences between energy expenditure of people of similar body weight. Greg had mentioned this range for someone that was 70 kilos or 155 pounds was anywhere between 1,200 calories and 3,600 calories. That's a huge range, and perhaps actually some people actually are eating 1,200 calories per day. Even if this is just an exception, it's an important piece of the puzzle. Let's finally put that puzzle together. Here's what you need to know to get great results for your clients, which I've learned through doing 5,000 plus dietary assessments on people. This is what helped me develop a step-by-step process we teach in the Dr. Mark method called the Free Nutrition Client Profile. Here's the formula. Step 1, calculate. Gather some basic information about the client. Variables like their age, their height, their weight, their activity level, their gender will help you determine a theoretical energy balance through a calculation. Like I said before, the Harris-Benedict equation and the Mifflin-St. Jeor are both good. But remember, this is just one data point that we use to make an informed decision later. Step 2, we do the actual assessment. So this part we get them tracking. Get the client to track their food and body weight for 5 days, including 1 day on the weekend. And then get them to report their calories, macronutrients, and body weight, and then take the averages, and we'll use those in the next step. In step 3, our last step, we compare. We're doing this all to get the best starting point for our clients. When done properly at the beginning and getting this perfect starting point, you might not have to adjust anything at all like I did for this client. What we want to do now is compare step number 1 and step number 2. Today you learned all about the pros and cons of calculations, but also the pros and cons of getting people to track. What we're gonna do now is use both data points and compare them. So here's the deal. If the maintenance energy expenditure that you found in step 1 and the average energy intake you found in step 2 are within 10% of each other, then there isn't a huge discrepancy and we can really use either number to define maintenance calories. What you'll do though is take the lowest number or take the average of the two and treat it as maintenance calories, meaning that the client will most likely need to eat 5 to 10% calories less than that in order to be in a modest deficit and to lose fat. Okay, but what happens if there's a big discrepancy between the numbers in step 1 and step 2, which I'll let you know right away happens quite a bit? We use the value in step 2 because it's gonna be closer to the truth, even if there is gonna be some over-reporting. Look what happened to body weight during this period. If it stayed roughly the same, then it's probably pretty close to maintenance. I put that in air quotes because we're always trying to be as accurate as we can be in a somewhat inaccurate science. Even if this value isn't completely true or accurate, it's still valuable to us. Use that value as a starting point and adjust based on what is happening with the client in the first couple of weeks. What you're trying to do here is use all the pieces to the puzzle and the information you have provided to make a best educated guess on where to start the client. This is just the starting point for your fat loss client and where the art of coaching kicks in. But as great as all those tips are, if you're really serious about starting a nutrition coaching business, the next thing I'll have you do is check out this video I've linked up right here. Now that you know the secret formula to getting results, learn the best way to guarantee them. So make sure to check it out now and I'll see you in the next video.